Okay, I'm here to give you guys some tips on how to paint your KMDFR02 bodies. So one of the products that we find that works really well is this filler primer. I got this at Home Depot, and the primer filler is really good because it actually fills in the little cracks and crevices and kind of makes it a little bit easier to sand and get a nice polished finish. So here you can see I've already completed one coat of the primer filler. You'll notice that some of the lines are obviously still there. You can see them right here. So what I'm going to do now is take my 400 grit sandpaper and I'm going to sand the entire chassis. I've sanded a little bit of the front end so you can see the difference. So now you can notice that those lines that were once there are gone. There's still some little rough pieces in there, and that's okay because when you do another coat it'll fill that all in and become nice and smooth. So you're just looking for about that level of smoothness, just getting out all those lines. You can see here I still need a little bit more sanding on the top there to get rid of the last little line there, but I haven't started here yet on the back. I just wanted to show you here on the front what it looks like. In order to make sure that your primer flakes off like this, you need to let it dry for at least 24 hours after you've primed it. Okay, so now I've sanded this side pod here, and we can compare it to the side that I haven't sanded. You can see here, of course, it's a lot more rough. But of course here it's not perfect, and it doesn't need to be because once again you're going to be adding more layers with the primer filler. So you don't really need to make it perfect, and in fact you could actually skip this step and not sand the body at all if you didn't want to, but the downside of course is that you're going to add more and more paint, so the body's going to get heavier and heavier, and that will affect handling. So you know, sanding it down will just save a little bit in terms of weight for the car and how it's going to handle. So now I'm finished my sanding. It didn't really take more than 10 minutes of sanding, and you probably shouldn't spend more than that on it on your first sand anyway. As you can see, you got lots of powder on the napkin, and now still a lot of powder on the chassis. Sorry, still a lot of powder on the body, so it's time to wash it in some soap and water and put on my second coat of primer filler. So here's a little tip I found, is if you warm up your spray can before you spray, it makes it a lot nicer, a lot finer coming out of the spray can. So here I just put some warm water into a jug. So another tip that you can do when you're spraying is to put your body onto an old spray can and secure it with double-sided tape, so that way you can move it around pretty easily and spray underneath whatever you need to do in order to get all the different angles. Okay, now it's time to put my second coat on, and as you can see I'm outside and I'm using just a simple shoebox here to make sure that I keep the spray contained, I guess, and so that nothing gets on top of it. I can close the shoebox when I'm done, and that way I know no dust can get onto my body. Okay, so this is what your car should look like after its second coat. Obviously I just finished painting it. Unfortunately I can't show you as I'm painting. I'm not capable of holding the camera and the can at the same time. But as you can see, there's no more lines anywhere. It's all totally smooth. The good thing is that if you do see lines, you can just wait a couple of seconds and then just apply more paint in that area, and eventually all the lines are going. So you're just adding more primer on, because remember it's a primer filler, so it will build up as you spray more onto it. Okay, so now you can see I got no more of those lines visible anymore, so I gotta wait 24 hours, let it dry, and then it's time to do my second sanding. So it's been about 24 hours since my last coat of the filler primer, and as you can see there's still a little bit of lines in there, but other than that it's looking pretty smooth. So right now I'm going to sand it with 400 grit sandpaper, and then one final sand with 1000 grit sandpaper, and that will be a wet sand. So here we are ready to wet sand. I'm using 1000 grit wet sandpaper, and just letting the water run over it through the tap as I sand. Okay, just you can go as much over it or as little over it as you want. I don't think you need to use 2000 grit sandpaper afterwards, but if you really want a very ultra smooth finish, that's something you can do as well. Okay, so now we've finished our wet sand, and as you can see, it's gotten a little bit smoother. There still are a couple little places there where it's not perfect, but once again, when you start adding the layers of paint on top, those will go away. So it's now time to give this a white coat as an undercoat so that we can begin painting our F1 car. Okay, so now I'm ready to put my first coat onto my F1 body, and as you can see, I'm using the Rust-Oleum paint. It's very important that when you paint with the Rust-Oleum that you do give it at least 48 hours to dry before putting on a different color. If you don't wait the 48 hours and the paint isn't completely dry, you will get a chemical reaction between the two paints and your entire body will be ruined. So best is to leave it even for 3 days. So I'm going to put on my white coat. I'll do 3 coats, each about 20 minutes apart, and then after that I'm going to let it dry for about 3 days before putting on any other colors. So I've waited 3 days for the white to dry and fully cure onto my F1 body, and as you can see, I've taped off some of the parts that I want to remain white. I'm going to paint this red because it's going to be a Ferrari F1 car. And as you can see, I've also done my front wing at the same time. I'm going to paint the front wing first just to make sure that there isn't any kind of chemical reaction between the two paints, and that way I know that I can paint the F1 body. So this is where we are now. We have the red painted on, and we have you know, some of the white still remaining. So I took the tape off. At this point in time, I'm ready to do my clear coat, and I'll do that. But you can see it's already nice and shiny, nice and smooth. A good finish overall. So I'm going to clear coat and then print off my stickers, put my stickers on, and then clear coat one more time. So here's the clear coat that I'm using, and I always spray a little bit right here in this area first to make sure that there's no chemical reaction, and as you can see there isn't. So I've sprayed the entire area here, and it's looking really good. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the rest of the F1 body. Okay, and here we are now with the body all clear coated. You can see it's really glossy now, nice and shiny, really ultra smooth. So I always use a shoebox, that way I can close it up, no dust can get on the car, and let it dry, and then it's ready for stickers. So I'm now finished my clear coat. Unfortunately, it's really bright outside right now, so I have some glare, so you can't get a really good view of what it looks like with the clear coat, but I'll show you at the end what it looks like anyway. But more important, it's now time to make some stickers for my car. So I just wanted to show you, we're going to share these on the MC3 website, and it has all the stickers already. And the good thing is that the backgrounds are all clear, so that you can change the background here color to match your paint color. So all you have to do is go into format shape here, and then you can select your color, and then usually go into more colors here, and then you can just simply change the color, so you can make it a little bit darker or lighter, or you can obviously change it over here to match the color of your paint, and that way when you cut them out, it'll look a lot better. Okay, so for example, if I just go here a little darker and click OK, you see it changed to being a little bit darker. So of course you're gonna have to test print it on a regular piece of paper just to make sure that it matches your paint color, and then cut them all out. I just use this simple paper here. It's a sticker paper on the back. You can peel it off, and it's sticky on one side, but the other side is just like regular old plain paper. And then once I have it all cut out, I'm going to put the stickers on and then clear coat over top, and I'll be done. Okay, so I'm finished putting all the stickers on my F1 car. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. The stickers do definitely make it look a lot better. As you can see, I still have some of that red in the background of that Ray-Ban sticker, but from farther away it's kind of hard to tell. And I'm sure you can also find better stickers than what I used. I just like these stickers because they tend to last. They're pretty robust, and during hits and stuff like that, the color stays on them. There are other kinds of stickers that you can buy more for this type of situation, but like I said, I've had them come off a lot easier than these ones, so I like the fact that these ones stay on really well. One little side note here is that, as you can see, this little point here on the front bumper needs to be sanded down, because after all the layers of paint and primer filler, it starts to rub with the steering linkage. So you probably want to sand that down, and then I always recommend painting this section of the front wing black so that it blends in. And I just have this Force India car that I've been working on at the same time as my Ferrari, and as you can see, that little black section there helps the front wing really blend in, so that you see only the really small part of that front wing. And yeah, so this one has the rear wing, and I've even painted in the top air ducts there, just to add a little bit more detail. So I hope this video helped you out, and please share your F1 cars with us